Hello, Mark Jones here, Born Again Jonesy, and this is Testimonial Part 2. So, if you've watched the first video, I got delivered from demons and saved and set free from an immoral, horrible lifestyle. And God has been good to me and established me in the church. And one of the things that I've always wanted to do was get married and have children, so have a family. But I was fishing in the wrong pond, if you know what I mean. So coming to church, I made it quite clear that I was looking for a wife. And one day this little French woman came in, and I thought, ooh, she's quite nice. So we did things the Christian way. We dated, and we kept it clean up until the day we got married. Okay, so that's how you do it in the Christian world, is that you don't sleep with each other, to put it bluntly, until you've actually gotten married. You keep it clean. So we did that, and the fact is that from my perspective of getting saved, who I was back then was, to put it bluntly, of all the other things that I was also a racist. I was raised in Dubai by my bigoted racist father, and the British community, or the first world community, kind of made up of Americans, British, Australian, South African, predominantly white people in Dubai. It's all very questionable, you know what I mean? The attitude towards the Indians, the Pakistanis, the Sri Lankans, the Bangladeshi, basically the Indian subcontinent. Then you're going up into the Pathans. You're going into anybody basically who wasn't Caucasian white was seen. There were tiers of kind of social acceptance in Dubai. Extremely racist from a 2019 perspective, well out of order. But when I was there, it kind of seemed the norm. So I was brought up in that. And I had I was really uncomfortable with people that were not like me, which is ironic because I feel more comfortable around people now that are not like me. But then I had to stick with the people that, made me comfortable. And that's a natural human condition. It's a natural trait, It's called, we're gregarious. We gravitate towards those things that make us, that we're comfortable with. It's not necessarily that we are similarities, but there are similarities involved, but cross-cultural things, but it's comfortability, okay? If that's a word, it is now. So I came into church as racist, and even though I got delivered and saved, there were certain issues still inside of me. And you've got to understand that when someone talks about what God did for them, it's always like the one major thing, but there's also many reasons to testify to say what God is continuing to do in me. So God was addressing these issues, and I really wanted to focus on obeying what God was telling me. Very important, being set free from my sin, being rescued from hell, being given a new chance, an extra chance in life, and to be clean, to be completely, thoroughly clean for once, and being able to actually speak to God in prayer and worship. Okay, good. So I got married, and I found out that actually my wife, Aurora, was exactly the same as me. She has her own testimony, and she might come on the channel and give her own testimony, but she also was racist. She had racist views, which again God was dealing with me and dealing with her about. So having said that, the issue of race to me as a Christian, one of the big things that God was dealing with me about was that actually we are one race, and there is only one blood, and we are a human race, and there is only one type of human on this planet. There aren't different types of human. So I started to read about Darwin and the effects of Darwin. It was previously discussed before Darwin. There was lots of people before that were talking about the different colours of people being different races of people. And so fast forward even today, that actually the division amongst people is actually one of the greatest problems in society. If you take America, please, take America and look at the absolute separation of people. Now, not everyone, but the vast majority of kind of information that we get from the States is that they really, truly believe that people of different colour are different people. Now, there's a lot of cultural things involved, and that can play a great part in the way people speak, and if they don't even speak English, like there's a large population percentage of Hispanics, and I don't fully understand the demography of all of that, but I know there's a great cultural division. But there is also this colour that differentiates things to too much of a degree. It's way too out of control. It's way too emphasised. And I want to just say that I personally had that kind of mindset as a saved Christian. I had an issue with people that were different to look at than me, and God had to deal with me about it. And so this isn't a salvation issue. This is one of the issues of life, that we all have these hang-ups about things. We all have these prejudices. And when we look at the Bible, when we look at genetics, when we look at what we are truly inside who we are, that actually God doesn't care about what colour we are and what we look like, okay? The Bible says that God looks at the heart of man, but we as people, we look on the outward appearance, but God looks at the heart. We look at genetics, 0.0002% of the human genome, so not very much of the human genome, is interested in coding for how people look. Absolutely minuscule percentage of our genome is made up of how we look, what we look like. And thirdly, in the Bible, it talks about how at the Tower of Babel, they were building this tower that would reach up into the heavens. They were all confused by God, gave everybody a different language. And those people that spoke the same language, they grouped together, and God separated them. God made them to disperse over the newly formed land just after Noah's flood. So notice that God didn't select people according to their colour. God selected them randomly and gave them a language. Now, you can make two assumptions: that God did select them by colour, or God didn't. I believe that God didn't select them by what they look like, because otherwise God can't say that God looks at the heart and not the outward appearance. Okay, you can't have both, that's contradictions. So God separated those people randomly, and a good example of how I think that the genetics plays a great part in proving that kind of thing is, there was a couple of years ago, there was a Nigerian couple that had two girls, two twins, and one was blonde and the one wasn't, okay? And in order for that to happen, there needs to have been a gene that was recessive, that wasn't dominant in the appearance, but that was carried along. So at some point in the history of that family, there must have been introduced to that gene pool a blonde. And that is a perfect example. It's very rare because obviously it's a recessive gene, but it got carried along. That's a very good example of how, what we look like doesn't mean anything in regards to who we are. And people, they talk about people of colour in America, black this and black that, and people of colour, and I'm a colour. My colour is whatever CYMK colour this is. But there's a real issue, and there's an absolute division, and this is a strategy of the enemy. My wife and I were both racist, and God delivered us from this racism. And it was by educating ourselves, praying, allowing God to unmuddle the mind. And that's what needs to happen a lot in society. You know, I live in Bristol. Bristol's blessed in the sense that it's very multicultural. There's loads of different types of nationalities here. They're all welcome. You know, what you have also is a lot of people that are kind of like indigenous to the UK. So like people that are been generations of people that were born here, and they have issues with people coming in, this kind of institutionalized racism that, oh, they're taking our jobs. Well, you know, not everybody can be born with intelligence, if you see what I mean. But the issue is that we can all get along because we're all the same. And this is great in Bristol, but there are still divisions, obviously, that's what I'm saying. And what Jesus can do is bring about an end to those barriers, because we are one blood, and through Jesus Christ we are made of one family, of one kingdom. Through Jesus we are able to be one people with one goal and one virtuous heaven-like target in life, is that all people were to come to Christ. So the testimony is really about how it took two racist sinners, and made them able to get married and have beautiful beige babies. So this is a good one. Okay, 3 ways to make an ape man. You know what? I'm going to make a separate video about this, because this video is probably going on a bit too long, and I can feel the wife's eyes burrowing into the back of my head about how long is your video. So anyway, that's me, that's Aurora, and that's what Jesus has done for us. So guys, get saved. If you'd like to know more about how to get saved, then please get in contact, because hey, your life depends on it. You know, this is not a small thing. So God bless. Please subscribe. Please tap the notifications bell. I think it's somewhere down there. And then you'll get notifications of whenever I've uploaded a new video. So God bless. Stay safe. Until next time, this is Born Again Jonesy. Goodbye.